All right, what's going on, everyone? It's a late BRAP rant, 12 a.m. BRAP rant, as a matter of fact. Wanted to just talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare, a game that's received a lot of controversy, a lot of press coverage post E3 because of some of the violence or depiction of war violence and the reboot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Um, So I don't know where to begin here. It's interesting because Call of Duty is not the franchise is no stranger to one violence. It's a portrayal of war. The Modern Warfare franchise is not um, immune to, or this level of controversy is not new. Is not new to the series. If you guys think about the No Russian mission and the previous Call of Duty, I think it was the first Modern Warfare, the second Modern Warfare. I can't remember now. There was the No Russian mission, and then there's also um, the mission where you were manning the gun and the gunship, the AC-130, I believe it's called, which is if you've seen YouTube videos of an AC-130 in action, I mean it's no joke. I mean that plane can deal a lot of damage from above uh, to soldiers below. So that fight sequence there in the previous Call of Duty Modern Warfare, um, but this one's a little bit different. This one is taking um, violence to the next level. And look, I've had people tell me on Twitter that I'm for censorship because I don't agree with the developers' vision in this game and its portrayal of war and what they're trying to have the end user feel. I don't agree with that. I think it's bullshit. I think that a lot of this is PR talk. A lot of this is from the developer standpoint. I think a lot of it's an attempt um, for them to sell copies. And get this kind of shock value. I don't think it's and look and so Mr. Megan had put out a great video in response to Infinity's Ward's response to the media and some of the controversy surrounding the game. And for those you don't know, there's a scene where you know you shoot women. And in some instances, they're soldiers, or I guess they're soldiers, if you will. Um, that are trying to hurt you. There's an instance where you can actually shoot a baby. There are some ramifications to that. Um, there's a scene that I believe is as reported by Kotaku. There's a dialogue um, a tree where in one of the scenes where a Russian soldier is hunting down a young female, a child who's just awoken from some kind of blast, and wakes up. She's buried in rubble, and it wakes up and sees that her mother has passed away. Her mother's laying next to her dead. She's passed away, and a Russian soldier makes it kind of uh, like a child. I guess basically a child rape innuendo by saying, let's, and I'm paraphrasing, let's catch this girl, and let's give her to the colonel because the colonel likes him young. So there's that. But according to Kotaku is saying that Infinity Ward will actually remove that particular dialogue tree from the game because of the nature of the context of the conversation or the dialogue implicating childhood rape. So a lot of controversy surrounding this game. Now, I've been on Twitter talking about this. I have brought the question: when is pushing violence too far? When is that, like, when do we get to a point where um, pushing a game, depicting violence has gone too far in the name of artistic value, in the name of games pushing that narrative or pushing the creative envelope. Um, and I call bullshit on that. I don't think that this is the developer here is trying to push the creative envelope, even though their reasoning for this is, hey, you know what? Don't call me Danny says this one hates babies. Oh my goodness. Um, I don't think that this is what they're trying to accomplish here is they're trying to give the end user the feeling, the real feeling of what war is. The problem, though, is that gaming is a simulator. Gaming is simulation. Yes, you are an active participant, but you're still holding a fucking control in your hand. And the way the brain registers that without having any kind of emotional connection to the people involved or the characters per se, this isn't a narrative driven story per se. Call of Duty, yes, there's narrative in it. I get that there's story and whatnot, but it's not a purely narrative driven game. I've heard people say, "Oh, well, what about movies? Movies, depict war all the time, and no one says anything. No one blinks an eye." But perhaps movies do a better job at depicting war than games do, because movies are more narrative driven, focused forms of art or entertainment or whatever you want to call it. Where video games that depict war are look, let's face it, they're just glorified shooting galleries. I mean, that's what they are. I mean, there hasn't been a war game that probably makes you feel like you simulates the feeling of a soldier in real life combat, and that's what this Call of Duty is attempting to try to do. And it's bullshit. I call bullshit on it because there just isn't a way you can do that because again, it's a glorified shooting gallery. It's a simulator. I don't know how you could do that in a video game, maybe in VR. And there are actually some VR simulators out there. There's one in particular. David Jaffe actually talked about this on his show. There's actually a VR simulator where you are actually in Bosnia and there's explosion going around you. They actually shoot styrofoam at you, and the result of people experiencing this in virtual reality, even though it's not real, the what you're seeing in VR is really a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of walking and feeling and being in the environment. And when the bombs are dropping down, they're shooting styrofoam at you. There's people that experience that, and their brain interpreted it as being real because it was more of a 1-to-1 type of experience. And obviously you had the impact of the styrofoam being shot at you to simulate the debris. But people who took off their VR goggles or headsets were in tears at times because of this simulation. But that's not what Call of Duty is. That's not what Call of Duty is trying to do. I think what what I've been and I probably maybe haven't articulated this well on Twitter. What I've been trying to say is, look, despite whatever the developer says in terms of trying to create some sort of feeling or trying to create how a soldier might feel for the end game user, I think that's bullshit. I think for them, it's glorified violence. It is them using this as a way to get press. They know it's going to be controversial. They know that controversy breeds, um, like they say, sometimes bad press is better than no press. And so this is going to generate controversy, and this is going to generate interest in the game. And so I don't agree with the developers' reasoning for including this level of violence in the name of trying to create a war sim or having someone feel like the same types of feelings internally that a soldier would. And big shout out to Mr. Megadev, who responded to Activision Infinity Ward and basically said, you know what, you guys will never know what it's like. You'll never know what it's like to have post traumatic stress disorder. You'll never know what it's like to lose friends that you're close with on the battlefield. You'll never know what it's like to lose your life. And he talked about that, Amy. And you, if you go back and you watch this video that Mr. Megadeth put out, and look, I have a lot of respect for him for doing this. You could tell watching this video that it was very uneasy for him to kind of rehash some of the memories that he had in combat. You know, as a Marine veteran fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, and experiencing really real war. It was very difficult for him to kind of rehash these memories that he has, and actually fighting and being in combat. And he can tell you that none of what Call of Duty's showing, and anything they can show to try to recreate um, what it's like to feel like you're in real war, is just not, it's not feasible, you know. And it's not something that that I get that he would want anyone to feel. I don't think he, in talking about, you know, some of the friends that he's lost to post traumatic stress disorder as a result of combat, that sense of loss, that's not something that can be recreated in this kind of game. And so I do find, look, I'm not saying that Infinity Ward is a crap developer, or that the Call of Duty series has been crap. I mean, it's been, you know, one of the to do what they do year in year out, is not easy, and I'll put it that way. But I think to go up there and stand in front of the press and sit there and say, well, oh, what we're trying to do is, you know, we're trying to recreate the feelings of warfare, and what modern warfare looks like today, and give the player the ability to really feel uh, what it's like to make, you know, moral choices, and kind of blurring the line of the grays of war that we live in today, where you have civilians who may look like civilians, but they're actually engaged in conflict. So I think, just based on what, you know, Megadeth was saying and some of his experiences, I look, I hey, what's up, Z Black Rider? By the way, what's up, everyone in the live chat? Um, I agree that, you know, it's impossible to simulate that. And so I don't think that, I call bullshit on their reasoning for doing this, for kind of raising the stakes, if you will, in their violent depiction of warrior. And I don't think that it's, I think it's okay. Look, guys, I think it's okay to, you know, ask these questions. You know, I saw some people tweet out that there was a couple IGN journalists that were upset over what they saw with the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and, you know, and almost shaming them. I don't think we should shame anyone who feels like maybe this game um, is pushing the envelope too far with the depiction of or the opportunity or the option of killing a baby. And up until this point, some of the child rape dialogue that I mentioned that's in the game, that according to Kotaku, Activision or Infinity Ward will remove from the final retail version of this game. But I think it's okay to ask those questions. When is going too far too far? The developers saying, "Oh, you know, this is for, you know, artistic vision. You know, this is so that gamers can really feel what it's like to be in war." And to Mr. Megadeth's point, that's impossible. That's impossible unless you've actually been in combat yourself. And like I said, look, shooters are basically just glorified shooting galleries, and you probably will get a better idea of what war is like watching a movie like Private Ryan. You know, a more narrative driven experience. I think, you know, look at games like Firewatch and games like Eden Finch. I mean, they were so captivating. They were so good because you developed a feeling, a connection, a bond with those characters in those games. And so the end game resulted in a just very satisfying game where you felt something. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't played a Call of Duty game where I felt something about any of the characters. I didn't care about Soap McTavish. I didn't care about you know, some of the other characters that were in the game, because I didn't have any real emotional investment. It's not real, and so again, I just find it disingenuous when the developers saying that, oh, we're trying to push the that creative envelope. Again, I'm paraphrasing. We're trying to simulate war to the end user, so they can kind of have that real feeling of what it's like to be in conflict like that. And the veterans that I have spoken to who enjoy first person shooters or that genre will say no. There's nothing out there that can make you feel what it's like to be in combat. And some of these veterans are saying, this is just more PR spin for Activision or Infinity Ward to sell this game. And that's perhaps what it is. I think at the end of the day, that is what it is. But I do raise the question of when is pushing that envelope too far. I've heard people say, "Oh, you don't have to buy it," or you can, uh, you can, you know, uh, you cannot buy it, or you could, just turn the other cheek. And so I probably won't buy it. I've heard people say, "Oh, well, this is what happens in the real world," and I get that things happen in the real world, bad things happen in the real world. But do games have to show that? Does gaming really have to show that? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I don't want to get to a point where, we're playing video games and the video game that we're playing is based on a mass shooting at a local school, or not local school, but because I haven't had, God forbid, I haven't had that happen here locally where I live. But, um, you know, playing a game that simulates mass shootings because the developer wants you to feel what it's like to have that sense of loss. I mean, when is pushing that in the name of creativity? What is that pushing the envelope too far? And I don't think that's a crazy question to answer or ask. And I'm surprised every time I brought that question up, people brought up censorship and said to me, "Oh, if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it." And they're spot on. If I don't like it, I don't have to buy it. Um, but I don't want to see a situation where children are being exploited to sell a game. That just doesn't sit well with me, and I feel like this is what's going on. That the developer's not really, they're not really sincere about the end goal here and what they're trying to accomplish. And again, I'm basing that on a lot of the feedback that I've heard from veterans, and more specifically to Mr. Megato's reaction and to Infinity War. And good for him for doing that, by the way, because I think that's a fair conversation to have. I don't think we should shame people and label them as being uh, uh, being pro censorship of video games. That's not what this conversation is about. I just, again, don't think that Infinity Ward is really doing this or have incorporated some of the aspects of this game that push the envelope for the sake of adding to the story and for the sake of making the end user feel a certain way that they haven't felt before. Again, I think this is about, at the end of the day, PR, selling copies of the game. And because look, let's face it, people gravitate towards controversy at times, and there's controversy surrounding this game. So I think in part that's probably a lot to do with it, and not the idea what the developer told you. Oh, we're trying to create this narrative. We're trying to push the art forward. I don't believe that. I think art, um, while it should be creative, can still be tasteful and can reflect human decency. I think that's the other thing. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want us to ever get to a point where we start making video games about mass shootings, and you see children dying as a result, and it's not a place where I want to see gaming go. I think there's other ways to you know if you want to experience more creative type gaming, I would encourage you to look at a lot of the games that are coming out for indie developers, and even VR. I mean, I know VR isn't necessarily the most popular platform, but it certainly does provide the end user with a unique gaming experience. I can tell you guys, haven't tried VR. Yeah, there's just something about it, just the level of immersion, and how you really feel like you're part of the game, as opposed to kind of holding a controller. So, anyhow, guys, that's just, look, that's my rant. I don't agree with the direction that Infinity Ward's taking the new Modern Warfare. And look, I probably won't be buying it. For those of you that do, that's great. I'm hey, not mad at you guys. If you feel like, hey, it's the game I want to buy, by all means, have it out, and hopefully you enjoy the gaming experience. But anyhow, on that note, I'm going to wrap up this BRAP rant because, frankly, it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm dead tired, like really tired. And how to catch my breath there. Oh, excuse me. Now I'm yawning. um, I'm dead tired, guys. It's been a long day, with the kids and work. So, but I wanted to do this BRAP rant. I'll probably talk a little bit about this more on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're actually going to have a industry guest on. We're going to have the NPD video game industry analyst for North America, Matt Piscatella. Is making his third appearance on Basement Radio Arcade, so we are looking forward to having him on. We're also going to have Boomstick. We're going to have Mr. Boomstick XL of Double Arrow Gaming. He's going to be a guest on Wednesday's show as well. So please, guys, come hang out with us at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. Hang out with us in live chat. Let us know your thoughts on some of the topics that we'll be discussing. And again, if you haven't hit that like button or subscribed, please do so. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday night. Everyone, have a great rest of the week. Enjoy your time gaming. And we will see you on Wednesday. By the way, check out the new video that I dropped regarding Fallout 76. That is actually up on the BRAP YouTube channel. Definitely want to check that out. So, on that note, guys, again, I'm out. It's late. I appreciate the support. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already. See you guys Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.